Hi there, I'm Ryan and today's video is a little different. It's not going to be a guide or anything, it's just a bit of fun to talk about my favourite faction, Military Orders. I really love it and it's a great faction. Works really well, but there are a lot of little things that irk me about it. So I wanted to make a video to be like, here's all the little things that change. This video isn't coming from a place of I know best or CB has it wrong. Think of this video as a Ryan, Corvus Belli has given you the control of army for a day, have some fun. Don't consider this a serious video. I don't know how to make the game better than CB, it's just entertainment. Some of the suggestions you might think are mad, some you might think reasonable. Some just odd, but I'm going to spitball some homebrew changes to military orders and talk about improving a faction I love. If you see anything you agree with or disagree with, leave a comment and let's get started. Side note, if you don't know what homebrew is, it's basically making up your own stuff for a game. It's really common in the tabletop role-playing game scene, but it has a small niche within more games. People make their own units and factions all the time, and it's fun to see what ideas people have for the game. You can really see the passion someone has for the game through each of their homebrew creations. Right, to MO. A couple points of this video. I'm going to go through units I think they can be tweaked and make suggestions to them in the fire teams. I really want to set a couple of ground rules here. I'm going to buff or tweak a good few units, but none are getting massive buffs like Impetuous or Frenzy discounts. No new skills are being added to military orders. I'm not going to give Constantino impersonation, as fun as that could be, although a Blackfriar impersonation might be more interesting. Not all of the suggestions are serious and provide some diversity, but I'll flag out which are less serious. Finally, each unit should still have the same flavour I had going in, so no massive reworks to make Infirmers uber engineers and melee fighters, or making Blackfriars a lame trooper. Constantino. I don't have much love for Constantinos, but I think as far as the Dire Foes character goes, he's not awful. He's meant to be the 007 of MO, so let's make him seem like they've not locked him out the armory as a joke. I think 2 tweaks will sort out each of his profiles massively. Okay, first we're keeping the Fireteam option in the infiltration versions, and decharges on both. We're going to give the Fireteam option an AP marksman rifle, and change the assault pistol to a breaker pistol, and remove the shock CCW to keep him cheap. This should bring him to around 26 points, and honestly, I'm much more likely to take him now as a proper alternative to the MSV Spitfire Crusader and a point man in an Order Sergeant Harris. He can still ARO with MSV and AP, which is rare, but I don't think it's massive. He's still only 1 wound, and 2 armor, and BS 12. The infiltration version, we're going to give Camel 1 use and surprise attack -3, and change his combi rifle to a breaker rifle. This gives him more protection in the midfield. It will be kind of obvious who he is, but that's okay. Surprise attack will help leverage that BS 12 and mimetism and breaker rifle. He now has no range overlaps, which is nice, and this would come to like about 29 points, which is not awful for panel. Overall, just weapon and skill tweaks give him a more defined role as the secondary protagonist of Panoshiana he is portrayed as in Raveneye, capable of leading a good fire team or sneaking into enemy lines to do a lot of damage. The Knight Commander. I love the Knight Commander, and really this is just a minor tweak to make MO feel more sturdy. So what we're going to do is give the Knight Commander a chain of command profile to prevent stray guided missile launchers or isolations given us a hard time. This will cost us about 29 points for the privilege, and I'm not changing availability on him, so it's either Lieutenant or Chain of Command. This is a massive buff to our Chain of Command in MMO, but I'm personally not sure how often I would want to spend 29 points to get a Chain of Command model, when I could just spend 28 points for a Lieutenant +1 Order who is fairly well hidden. I think it's just a change for when you're running Joan or Pain Trains. Curator. I've not hidden the fact I don't like the Curator replacing the Machinist entirely, so I have no problem with making changes here. First off, give back the Machinist. Even if he's not linkable, just a second unit slightly cheaper. I don't want to pay 2 points for AP Mines and Shock Immunity on a 1 wound model. Alternatively, give the Curator availability 2 and maybe a Blitzen profile instead of AP Mines. Some variety here and even more Blitzens would be neat. Panzerfaust, Flaming Spheres, or critical cannons would all be great. Any disposable weapon on engineers is pretty neat as far as I'm concerned, and I'll be far more forgiving for the death of our cheaper, arguably better engineer. MO Puppet Master. So this unit came from a discussion about buffing Joan and his like 50% joke and 50% sure, let's give Panel a worse Puppet Technica company. I kept it very MO, so the bots are very Christians like Mercy, Penance, Fury, so the stat line. You get 2 of these BS11 5-point impetuous, irregular, repeater controllers. They're meant to be cheap garrison troops that fight using robots and basically just run forward so hackers can hack through him. Fun note that being impetuous, he and the bots will need to move with the impetuous order. However, that is the only order that they need to do that, so there's some potentially dangerous efficiency there. First bot, Fury. First off, yes, that image is an ox box with the smoke grenade strapped to its chest. Yes, I am aware that might be a bit spicy, but we have lobotomized journalists running with kink bombs, so I mean, we're already in spicy land with Infinity. 6-4 move, because it's a fastball cycle thing. CC 18, because it's MO and a power CC -3, so basically a disposable melee threat. Might Spring to give it a shock CCW, as well as to give it some lethal threat. It's Whip 10, Arm 0, and 3 BTS. It's just an ox box with some smoke strapped to it. Now the skills. -3 because it's fast, it's speed, it's covered in camel or something. Religious Trooper because it's going to stand there and flame people. It explodes smoke. The idea here is it runs forward, burning some people, and then you die. Explode as normal, taking people with you, hopefully. Then you remove the model from the table and place a smoke marker, centered on where the model was. Just to be a pain. And of course this is smoking panel and it's sin, which is why I was never seriously recommending this homebrew unit. But here it could be funny and lead to some interesting situations. Of course, we have MSV and MO, so that we can then smoke shoot for fun. Mercy. Yep, that's a tin bot with a backpack and either a medkit and paramedic or a forward observer and gizmo kit. The idea here is that the robot impetuously runs up and heals down units and defend them with the multi-pistol. Sensor means he can hunt camo, and baggage means he can track stuff back to the drop zone in those specific missions. Finally is Penance. It's a bigger base than the other two, but better shooting in Arm 1 with min -6, and an innate burst 4 of gun. This is basically a more angry Pathfinder, and while the others advance to help, he moves up and shoots down the ARO pieces, unless they have MSV or min. It's not as good as the puppets, but it's cheaper and I think could be a real terror. Crusader Brethren. I'm not a massive fan of airborne deployment troopers, and the Crusader Brethren is certainly not one of my favourites. In terms of panel unit, it does its job well. It's BS-13 with good guns, but I'd rather start with the guns on the table. So to give it a little boost, I reckon we make the multi-rifle profile a specialist operator, so we can actually do something beyond killing things. Or a paramedic/engineer option on the boarding shotgun profile. Nice and simple changes to make other forms of midfield deployment popular and nimble, because I've never seen them on the table. Another suggestion is that we duplicate the profiles and give him forward deployment plus 8 inches, as another midfield alternative to skirmishers. It would be an interesting change similar to the Nahabs in Hack and the Scots Guard in Ariadna. Maybe even make a wee sneaky Fireteam Harris option with only these guys and a Fireteam option Peacemaker. Okay, that is silly and pushing away from the Crusader Brethren design for the rapid reaction space drop troopers, but I like it as an idea. Infirmers. So the Infirmer. Honestly, everything wrong with medium infantry here, just costs too much for doing not much. 1 wound is not ideal, but I just don't want to give it 2 wounds, or NWI, or Dogged, or something to improve her. In saying that, we did have a discussion once on Discord, and if we think of NWI as a heroic skill, it does kind of work for the flag version. They're very heroic, and we could give her NWI, Frenzy, Martial Arts level 1, more armor, and build her up to be a light knight. Which is not a bad idea, and not something I'm just going to dismiss in this vid, but I'm largely going for light touches here. If people want that, we can do another video on drastic changes. Okay, so what's the Infirmers thing? Fluff-wise, they're part of the Knight Hospitaller Order, and are frontline doctors and military orders. I think it was CA or Eugene attacked the hospital, and they decided to arm themselves. So we have combat doctors, and not whatever the trauma doc is doing. This shouldn't be a better doctor than Hack, but if it's a pretty good doctor for panel, I'm fine with that. So no Whip 14 or fancy skills here then. So I think we buff the medkit. The lazy option would be to give it +1 birth, which in a Harris becomes a really solid way to revive things. Burst 3, all you need is 1 success from our Knight's high fizz. It's not bad. It enhances the idea that all panel does is shoot. The other option is Doctor, reroll. To represent the fact that our kit will be like, wait, don't do that. It also saves a command token, which is kinda nice and I think incredibly valuable. This wouldn't really alter her points, but I like it as a no-fuss effective patch. Okay, instead of buffs, what about reworking costs? We drop the monofilament CCW and give her martial arts level 2, and maybe a shock CCW to keep her in melee. You can always add this to the change above to get a really nice utility medium infantry for basically the same price, who can survive and punch down in melee as needed against warbands and light infantry. Blackfriar, make the multi-sniper fire team linkable, please. The other MSV snipers, medium infantry in panel, are laughing at him and his stupid hood. Seriously, why not? It's not going to break MO's ARO game. We arguably have a better heavy rocket launcher ARO piece. Just the multi-sniper rifle would give MO and NCA more AP on ARO. Not that NCA needs that. The first model I fell in love with was the Nisei multi-sniper, and I'd like a successor to that in an army I play. Or just give MO Nisei's please, for a laugh. So changes to the fire team would be nice and simple. We let the Blackfriar join Order Sergeants and be pure. It's not massively powerful, it's just a +3 to Discover, and if it stacks with the multi-rifle, it would +6 to Discover, and basically ignoring Impersonation 2 and -6, which is very fluffy. It would make sense that the Inquisition is looking for aliens, and foreign infiltrators would take veteran troopers and robots to deal with them, and if need be, escort them to fix the mess that they've made. Looking back at my homebrew folder, I noted I had a random suggestion for a multi-rifle engineer profile for the Blackfriar for about 30 points. Since we have a fairly expensive light infantry engineer, let's add a decent medium infantry one. I'd be honest, I think I'd suggest a boarding shotgun, some sort of disposables, decharges, deactivator, engineer for, what, 28 to 29 points. I'd run that with 3 Teutonics and a Santiago and an aggressive 5-man corps. Finally, let them join the Knights duo for a similar reason. Not like it makes them cheap, just more fluffy. They are actually a member of the military order of Santa Dominica after all. They're just almost proper knights, and historically, bishops and friars have been known to take up arms for Christendom. Joan. Can we have a different lieutenant skill here? Like, inspiring leadership is nice, but not in MO. Can we get some strategos or strategic deployment? Strategos doesn't work with the NCO units we have, but since this is a sectorial of 2 halves, between the MO fire teams and the Crusade fire team, it would work well with her pain train. Another option would be to give her attack awareness, since she's basically an uber woman. I think giving Joan some sort of order efficiency would really benefit MO. We don't need a Hector or a Saladin, but a better frontline leader would be nice if we're here to shock assault people. To shake it up, also give her a specialist option. She might be here to lead, not read, but the girl is wit 15, so she could smash a console or 2. Okay, quick Raven Eye spoilers. Joan died. She did get better though, so can we get Joan version 3? I don't know, a Santiago, Teutonic, or Blackfriar framed Joan with some odd equipment like Combat Jump Joan, Impetuous Joan, Joan with some multi-spectral visors and marksman rifles? Hell, even Tag Joan, why not? Let's see Joan Killies. Ballistic skill 15, 3 wound, AP Spitfire with mid -3 or something. It's going to be the second best gunfighter in MO, which Joan really should be. The Knight of Justice. I believe these guys are considered veterans of the orders, so let's get broad with what these experienced soldiers can do. First off, let's take the Spitfire and Lieutenant profiles and replace them, or duplicate them, with HMGs, because I think wildcard HMGs and MO wouldn't be that bad. We're really not losing much as we have other better Spitfires to take, to be honest. The Knight of Justice just brings you armor and ballistic skill 14 to a crowded Spitfire game, which the Santiago does for 1 armor and 6 BTS less. In HMGs we bump the cost, sure, but it would be used even in a Teutonic Knight Harris. Okay, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't have to be a HMG. A Mark 12 would really be nice, and a point cheaper than the Spitfire. Mark 12s are some of the better non-SWC weapons out there, and honestly, I want to see them and play more of them. We're losing the burst of the heavy machine gun, but we're getting the range and damage. Really, I'm asking for HMGs, but would honestly be fine with the Mark 12s to hit hard at a good range, filling a niche that MO lacks, without removing the lack of HMG MO is weirdly known for. Here we are, Feuerbach Knight. Like, it would be a hilarious threat. Stick him in a Harris or a 4-man and watch things sweat as they try to smoke it out. One wrong move, splat. It adds a new weapon and anti-armor. I know we have a missile launcher, and the missile launcher is probably a little bit better with burst 1, AP, and explosive. It's swingy and a little boring. AP DA plus AP is less damage, but more reliable and active. I don't know, maybe I prefer new things over the same old, same old. Just give me a reason to run the Knight of Justice, and a lad/lass in a big armor, the big gun, would be a great addition to MO. Last point, maybe a controversial one. Give Knight of Justice both the Teutonic Knight and Knight Hospitaller keywords. They are veteran troopers from these orders, so should be able to work with them with a fire team. They're god expensive, so it's not like you get cheap order fillers out of it. They can keep up with both of them and offer utilities that each Knight fire team lacks. Not gonna lie, I would take 3 Teutonic Knights and maybe a Knight of Justice hacker in a 4-man pain train. Not sure how many would agree, but it would be interesting as I can't believe it's not Steel Phalanx. The Knight Hospitaller. I like Knight Hospitallers and really think the only thing that it needs is some added profiles to flesh them out, as they are the line heavy infantry of MO, to be honest. Little things first though. Allow one of them in a military order fire team and one Teutonic Knight in a Crusade fire team. It's so bizarre there seems to be a split in military orders. MO fire teams on one side and Crusades on the others, and this will bridge the gap. And give a doctor to the Teutonic Knight fire team so we can have a pain train much easier. Maybe even link a HMG or something. No purity keywords here. Corvus Belli are stingy with them in ammo. Next little thing would be letting them Crusade duo or duo in a Knight's fire team. It's a bit criminal they can't, to be honest. Profile wise, I think we could do an engineer here. It's a bit of a theme of the video. But it makes sense. These guys help pilgrims and sometimes they break down and need a hand. I think a boring shotgun or heavy shotgun or a breaker border shotgun mirroring the combi multi-rifle doctor loadout. Standard affair. Main gun, decharges, deactivator, gizmo kit. That way it's the same price as doctors. Maybe even add a disposable weapon like an acrylic cannon, bringing some non-lethal to military orders. Finally, we could use some ARO options, so we could either steal from the Gualos using a heavy rocket launcher and some MSV2, or we can give them a multi-sniper rifle and MSV1. Just a little something to be on the defensive so the pain train can contribute to AROs, like how the Teutonics can bring a missile launcher, and it is more MSV in the Sectorial. I think there could be something here for a bit of fun, and I would maybe consider it solo. The Knight of the Holy Sepulcher. This guy's really nice and doesn't actually need anything, so it's all gravy, to be honest. Can we have a lieutenant here? Just think it would be neat, and maybe something on the AP HMG or on multi-marksman. Probably the latter, since having chain of command and lieutenant tends to be on similar profiles. For some fun, let one be a fireteam option with no hollow echoes. Not sure which may be, both or the multi-marksman rifle one. I think it would be really fun to watch this big lad running around with 4 Crusader or smaller knights just moving up the board and gunning things down. Lore-wise though, this is a little iffy, because the Knights of the Holy Sepulcher are a stuck-up lot. They are the first among equals in the military orders, and they know it. So I don't think they would be working with other knights so readily. Maybe just knightlings, like the Order Sergeant or Crosiers of their order. Maybe the Harris. Maybe the Harris. S5 lads tend to get to Harris, and I think it's a very cool to use Silhouette 5 Harrises. It's a shame I don't have a faction that gets one. Last point. The Knight of the Holy Sepulcher being the bestest knight is kind of crap at melee and okay at shooting. Why not give him martial arts level 3 and upping his fizz to make him a real melee threat? Give warbands a rough time and bully tag. It's always nice to watch big models punch things, and I think that's why the Seraph exists. Also give him a DA close combat weapon so we can have, what, a damage 17 CCW? That's far more knightly and befitting the tag light. The Seraph. I really like the Seraph. It's really cool. I just struggle to run one. So a couple of things to fit the lore and the role. The Seraph is here for melee, so that's staying. But is it a light and fast tag, or is it a bigger and tankier tag? To match that options, we could make it Silhouette 6, so it's smaller, easier to hide, and generally a bit better for its current stat line. Or we make it Armor 8, making it as armored as other S7 tags. I'd also take EMC Hacker here, to be fair, but that's really powering up, so we'll just stick with either Silhouette 6 or Arm 8 as my first suggestion. To help give it more punch and actually make it a main battle tag, I think we could swap out the HMG for either a multi-HMG or an AP HMG, and the Spitfire for basically a multi-Spitfire or an AP Spitfire, so it can really crack armor and pose a threat beyond close range and melee. To fit with the lore of the officers being so impetuous they had to give them remote presence tags or they would suicide themselves into enemy, let's give it a lieutenant profile to match each profile. One for Spit and one for the HMG. I don't think MO loses or gains anything from a tag lieutenant, it's just a really fluffy lore thing rather than making military orders stronger, and I know it's one the community would really love. Also, most of Pano has lieutenant tags, so let's complete the set. Finally, let the HMG version duo. I think it would be really nice and round out the Knight's Fireteam, or even give us its own Fireteam options. A Seraph duoing with a Bulletier or Joan would really be interesting, but alternatively, a Seraph duoing with wildcards would also work. It's really just a knight and a tag, so let's treat it as such. Fugazi. We all know what I'm gonna say. Availability 2 Fugazis. Look, literally, there we go, done. 100% improved. CB, hire me. Pathfinders. Right. I was going to say give X, Y, and Z, but then ITS 14 dropped, and as I'm writing this, and Jesus, what did they do? EMC Hacker -3, Tactical Awareness, Marksmanship on all Forward Observer repeater rams? Wow, if I had suggested that, I thought I would be laughed out of the Discord chats. Anyway, I love it. I'm 100% going to run more Pathfinders now. So the changes I would actually make would mostly be letting them wildcard or be linkable in MO or Order Sergeant Fireteams. The panel is all about automated warfare with tags or remotes fighting alongside Fusiliers, Crusaders, Order Sergeants, and then bringing in the big guns as needed. I love the concepts of linking Stemplars ons in Tunguska, so doing an MO would be really nice. Pairing them with Teutonic Knights would also be an interesting fast combo. Lots of ideas here, and even just Order Sergeants with them would be a really fun way to get Bulletiers and souped up wildcards up the board. Muleballs. More Raven Eye ideas here. Can we have a Fireteam option with a combi rifle and let it either form or join Knight duos? As Constantino basically had one going on in Raven Eye, and weirdly it was a fan hit from what I saw. They personified the Mulebot so very well, and I think they could capitalise on this odd duo. Even if they give it a small Fireteam bonus of rerolling Panoplies or something fluffy to incentivize playing it. I don't know how much it would actually see play, but if the Fireteam option has, say, a repeater and a specialist operative or a forward observer, it could be really nice in the current ITS. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and it was a bit of fun chatting about military orders. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and leave a like if you liked the video.